What is going on, traders, and welcome back to IFX Success. And on this lesson, we're gonna go over how we can actually plan our trades ahead, either 1 and 2 days ahead, and be able to actually manage it with the EA and taking a look at the dashboard version 2. And with this, we're gonna be able to tell, hey, what are the projections? Once we get a block entry, how can we determine the future entries on this, using this block, whether if it happened today or yesterday, we're going to be able to predict a move today or tomorrow. So we're going to be using the dashboard, and this dashboard I'm going to give you more details how we're going to use it. We're also going to be using the EA with this. So with the EA, we're going to set up trades. So this is the EA right here. We're going to set up trades, future trades, next following day, okay? And I'm going to show you an example of what I mean. So right now, this is one example of one entry that we got a block entry to sell on this particular day. So we have the days divided by this vertical line. So this is day 1 when it happened, day 2, and day 3. So the best thing that I can tell you is that the best trades happen usually on the second and third day after the block has happened. Okay, we're going to take a look at 1 hour, but you can actually take a look at this on any other time frames, on 4 hours, on a daily, and even 15 minutes. If you go any lower than that, I think it might be too risky. Okay, so the idea is that when we analyze this block, we're not going to enter right away because we don't know if it's going to be a valid entry. So once we get it, then we're going to take a look at it and see if we can plan ahead on the next following day, which will be on this day or the next second day, okay? So if on this day we would have gotten a cycle, but on this day we didn't get a cycle, meaning a cycle would be a number 2 cycle or a number 1 cycle, okay? So a number 1 cycle would be something like this. Right over here we got the block and we got the reversal block, and on this particular day we ended the day with the number 1 cycle. What does that mean? Is that the market is going to reverse back close to the block, right? So if I actually make this bigger, it actually came by to the block, it hit it, and then it bounced off from there, right? So if on this particular day, I'm going to go back to the other example, but if we got a number 1 cycle or either number 2, then on the next day I'm like, okay, I should be expecting the market to retrace back and to finish this number 1 cycle, and I should be able to plan a sell entry. Okay, so we're going to plan a sell entry once this cycle ends, this number 1. And how are we going to do that? Well, we have 2 ways. We're going to be using the EA, or you can do it manually, but sometimes you might be sleeping, so this is for traders who actually want to plan ahead. Once you see that the ending of the market or the end of the day, close to the day, then what we're going to do is we're going to set up the EA to set up future entries. So I'm going to show you, this was one entry that was made, okay, so we used a reversal block on this number 1 cycle. So once it actually closed below, the entry was right over here, and this was the exit, and then the same thing with this other entry right over here. So on this one, what happened is that we didn't get a cycle at the end of this particular day. We didn't get a number 2 or number 1. We got it on the next following day. So we got a number 2 in here, so we should be expecting a retracement close to where? Close back to our our reversal block or a regular block. So it did come in here, as you can able to tell, it reversed back to it, and then what did it do after that? It dropped, okay? So but it happened on this 3rd day. So this is the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd day after the block happened. Okay, cool. So what do? We're gonna plan ahead, and we're gonna set it with the EA. In case we might be sleeping, or in case we might, analyze 5 pairs or something like that, then we're not gonna miss that entry. So right over here, this was an entry block right here. So this was the entry right over here on this particular day. So it took 3 days for this trade to really develop the way we wanted it, okay? So these are two examples when it comes to the number one on the number two cycle. So right now, what do we do in order for us to filter and to pretty much say, okay, what happened today? So we're gonna have our dashboard, and this dashboard is going to let me know, this is dashboard version 2. And what are we going to do with this dashboard is that I'm going to tell this dashboard, hey, show me only the blocks that happened today or yesterday, maximum 2 days, or actually right over here, show me H1 blocks, because I'm going to look at only right now H1 blocks, okay, that happen maximum, that is 1 day old max, okay? Because why do I want to know that? Because maybe I can make a decision today, or I can plan for tomorrow and set my EA to enter that trade on the next day. So I want to be able to filter, so that way I don't take a look at 10 pairs or 20 pairs. I want to be able to filter out and only give me the pairs that only had a block that either happened today or yesterday, a maximum of 1 day old. So I tell it, give me that. I just randomly pick 10 few pairs in here. I don't trade all of them, but I'm just giving you an example. So if we only concentrate on the H1 blocks right over here, we're able to tell that, hey, out of all these pairs, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 that are at least 1 day old. Okay, so that is going to be very helpful. I'm going to ignore maybe later on today, at the end of the day, we might be able to get more blocks that maybe we can plan for tomorrow. All right, so at least I have a couple of pairs that I can take a look at. I'm going to not even bother to any of this because, hey, the blocks might be too old and they're not even gonna work for me. So if we're gonna take a look at euro dollar, we have euro dollar right here, which it actually is a nice trade, or something that we can plan. And this is, we're gonna plan it again with using the, we're gonna be using right here the EA. Okay, I'm sorry. So what happened is, this is a 1 day old, this is today, and this is a 1 day old block right over here, right? A reversal block. So what are we expecting is, on this day, on this day that it happened, we got a number 1. So this is what I'm looking for. I got a number 1. So I'm expecting the market to retrace back already to my to my reversal block. And now today, or hopefully tomorrow, I'm going to get an entry based, hopefully, it's gonna, give me that trade. And also these steps already getting closer together. Okay, so the higher the step, if you want to buy, if you step down, we don't really want to buy on something like that, because it's showing us a strong downtrend. So now the step is getting smaller and we got the block. So hopefully now this trade is going to work. So what am I going to do is, I'm going to set the EA with something very simple. Sometimes some of you guys have the EA already and I think you're overcomplicating it. So we're going to set it up now. The EA, we're going to go to the settings, and it's going to be very, very simple. I'm going to tell it, hey, buy at a what? At a reversal block, right? We're using the gray blocks, a block entry at a 1 hour time frame. And I'm going to say, since we have different settings for different for the different signals, okay? So 13 will be the number 1 signal cycle, 34 will be the number 2 cycle, and 60 will be the number 3. But when I put the 60, it would only include the number 3 cycle. If I put in 13, it's going to include all type of cycles, that the number 1, number 2, and number 3. So in here, since I saw that there's a number 1 cycle in here, so I have to put in number 13 in here, and everything else is going to be false except my MA filter. I'm going to have a true 1 hour 13 simple moving average. That means that I can have that to true or false. I mean, we can make it just give it one rule, and everything else should be false. So the only thing that it should say is that If it breaks, if it gives me a block, and if it closes above the moving average, the 13 moving average, then give me an entry. And not only that, what we're going to do is we have to go here to common, and we only want to say give me a long entry. Okay, you're gonna go back here to this tab, says common tab, and you're gonna say give me a only long entries, because in here you can choose short, long, and short. So we only want to buy in case you know, it might give me a sell entry. I don't want a sell entry. I'm only going to want to buy. So I'm gonna say okay, and I'm going to set the DEA on automatic, so that way when it happens, it's just gonna automatically enter for me. So what is the filter has to be? It actually has to be it has to close. This is the moving average, 13 moving average is right here, and it has to be above anything. The entry will have to be above this candle and above the moving average. Okay, so I'm telling it, okay, now that I'm able to analyze and say this should be a valid entry. Of course, anything can happen. We can have news coming up, so you should be aware of that, and or maybe we can have a stronger trend. So we can take a look at 4 hours and see what 4 hours is actually doing. So on 4 hours, we already had a reversal bullish block, so that's a good sign. But you know, it could be tricky. It could be going in lower and lower. The best would be when we see also 4 hours, you know, kind of higher, a little bit higher. But let's see how this trade actually is going to work out. So this would be my analysis for euro dollar. This would be a future entry that if it happens, great. If it doesn't, well, it doesn't happen. So I'm only allowing it for a buy entry on this particular. So I set it out just for today. So I'm analyzing what it could happen today based on yesterday, based on my block, based on my reversal block, based on my cycle, and that is pretty much it. Okay, so I pretty much we set the EA day by day. Okay, that's the homework. If you really want to become successful, and if you really, you have to put in the time, you have to put in the effort and really study the market. All right, so now this entry is already set. I don't have to worry about anything else about this trade. Just in case, I will just have to take a look at it. If it goes anything lower, well, that's fine, but since it has not triggered an entry, I'm not going to really worry about this. Okay, so now what do we do is we can go back to our I'm gonna go back to our right over here to our dashboard. So euro dollar, it's fine, we're good with that. Now we can actually take a look at this other pair and see what is going on. Of course, we can see that everything is bearish. This is the only bullish block that we have on this pair, so we have to take a look and see what is going on, if it's actually going to provide an entry either today or maybe tomorrow. So we're gonna take a look at this pair. Actually, I have made already an entry manually, but what happened with this pair is that we did get a block, right? We got a block in here. The market went up, but it never gave me any cycle at all. It never gave me a cycle, either one or a two. So that's not cool. I don't like that. And it did go down, and it's actually at the block, bullish block right over here. It's actually at this block right here. So it has a good chance that it actually might be able to work, right? But you know, still we have steps going down. I should be careful with this trade. I know I enter in here just to try, just to show you. And then we have here H4, which on H4, you know, we can tell that we have a strong, we had a strong downtrend move right over here. We can tell we had a strong move to the downside, and we're able to tell now that it's kind of becoming a little bit stable within this zone, right? It has been hitting this zone in here pretty much, and we do not have any bullish block on 4 hours. So I should be careful with this trade, but it has some good probabilities based on, you know, kind of the steps have been stabilizing. They're a little bit more stable now. Like I said, now after such a strong move to the downside, it should be able to hopefully give us a up move. But I would really suggest when you're starting out that you actually wait and see that if you had any cycle, one or two happening. If it didn't happen, then maybe you just ignore that and maybe move on to another pair, just if you're beginning, right? If you have more experience, then you can actually then take more risk when it comes to that. Now let's go back to our dashboard and let's see what other pair can give us anything. So in here we have also pound Swiss, and we also have what, Euro Australian, and then we have gold. And with gold, this one we're gonna take a look at it, but we'll see if it's going to actually work. But so let's take a look at this other one right over here and see if we can actually get something for that one, if we can actually analyze it and maybe prepare for an entry either for today or tomorrow. So I'm gonna click on here and it should be able to open a new chart for me. Okay, so here it is. This is pound Swiss, and we are going to go to the 1 hour chart right over here. So we did get a just recent block right over here. It's very fresh. So pretty much we're not going to do anything with this because it's really fresh, and we have a strong down step right over here. So remember, what we're looking for is that we are looking for already for a number 1 or 2 cycle, and what we're expecting is a down, a down move to keep them finally go to the upside, right? So we're hoping to do something like this. And so for today, really, there should be nothing. Maybe we can wait until the end of the day and reanalyze this block and be able to see if it's going to be a valid entry for tomorrow. But today, really, there's nothing to be done for this pair, so I'm just going to ignore it, and this is what you should do as well. Pretty much you're just going to do is ignore something that, if it's too fresh, meaning fresh, it just happened really just right now, then you're not really going to do anything, you're just going to ignore. But if we're gonna take a look at just some history on this pair, I'm gonna show you an example just like how we have shown you before. So right over here we had a reversal block, right? It happened, the market went down, but unfortunately we didn't get a cycle at all. But we can actually see that the steps are going down, and we can actually prepare on the next following day, say, finally this pair, if it's now below the prior day mid-level, we can actually look for an entry on a smaller time frame. Then now we can actually move to a 15 minutes and actually plan a trade on 15 minutes. So how would we do that? I'm going to just put on a vertical line right over here and then go down to 15 minutes so I can show you that we would have had a trade on 15 minutes. So we would have had okay, where it is, okay, it's right over here. I'm just gonna minimize it for a second so we can see it much better. And we had a number 1 cycle entry, and that was pretty much it for this type of move right over here. So if we were going to plan a trade in the future using the AA, all we have to do is go to the settings, and we would have to say, hey, enter only on sell entries, only on short. So I'm going to click on here. So we're going to say only short entries, and when I go to my inputs, what I have to say now is, since I want to go down to 15 minutes, then I would like to say, hey, go to 15-minute time short, 15-minute chart, and we're gonna reduce it to 13 settings, and pretty much that would be all on the MA filter. We're gonna also, if you want, you can filter it with the MA as well. You can put it on 15 minutes, and you can actually use higher time frame MA as well. So then that would be all. We can just say okay, and then pretty much what this would do is it's going to just give us a entry when it happens, right? So if I put in here the MA, what it needs to do is it needs to give me an entry, if it closes below, well, maybe it would have not given it to me. Maybe it would have given me that entry if it closes below the moving average, and then this would have been have the trade right over here on pound Swiss. So you can plan ahead on the same time frame. If you don't see that at the end of the day on 1 hour you didn't get a signal, meaning a cycle signal, but you actually now, you could see that the midpoints are already stable now, the mid levels, and we could say, hey, enter if it's below. You can also set it up in here and say only give me an entry if it's actually below the mid level. So you can actually set this to true and say I only want a sell entry, after we analyze and everything we have said. Give me an entry only if it's below the prior day mid level, and then that is how you actually also plan ahead on your trade. Hey, say, listen, I already saw this block, I already see that the market is stable, it's not gonna keep on going higher. Now look for an entry on 15 minutes if it's only below the moving average or if it's only below the mid level. So right over here we would have gotten another entry because we are below the mid level. We would have gotten another entry here because it's below the mid level. So when you see that the higher the step, when you look back on history, yesterday, and the higher the step, there are high probabilities that the market is going to keep on going in the same direction. Okay, when you see the steps already stabilizing, already like closer to each other, that means now the market is changing direction into the opposite direction, right? So eventually we can see here, if you can see the big steps going down, and now we're able to see some stability here, kind of. It did give me another step and actually kept on going lower. So it was not able to make it, give us steps, keep, steps going higher and higher, but that's what the market does. We always have to be on the lookout or be on top of it and do our homework every single day. So that's pretty much it when it comes down on how you can set the EA for today or tomorrow, depending on what is it that you want to look for, right? On what pair. So the first thing that you're going to do, so let's kind of like do a summary. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to go to your dashboard, and you want to tell your dashboard, you're going to go to your settings, you're going to go to indicators list, you're going to go to your settings, and what you're going to do is you're just going to tell it, hey, listen, I want, give me all the blocks under the 1 hour that are 1 day old or at least 2 days old. That is really up to you, or that happened today. So if it's 0, then you can put 0 and only is going to show you if it happened today, okay, not yesterday. So if it's 1, it's going to be either today and yesterday. If it's 2, then it's going to be 3 days old, meaning today or yesterday or the day before. So if you put in 0 and you only want the actual ones that happened today, you could do that too, but I would suggest 1 would be a good filter. So you would choose 1 on that, and that is going to give you that filter. Is going to, out of all the pairs, let's say you choose 20 or you choose 10, then it's going to give you just a few. At the end of the day, you can do the same thing before you go to bed and set your EA, for that particular. So you just refresh it, and then you might get more than this compared to what you have right now, and then analyze each and single pair and see, hey, is this bullish block or this bearish block good that I can actually make an entry, right? So we were able to tell that some of them are really fresh. So if you got it today, then you would wait until the end of the day, right? You would wait until it gets closer to this line and see what is it that is it going to give you. Did it give you a 1 or 2 signal? Then are you going to be able to tell that finally this block is going to be a valid entry? And if you do so at the end of the day, so this is going to be on my lookout, on my watch list. I'm going to have it here open. I'm going to set the EA as the second step, right? The second step would be that. Then once you determine that, hey, I like this, not for today, but definitely maybe for tomorrow, I'm going to like it. I'm going to set it either to enter under the 1 hour or under the 15 minutes. Again, if you want to enter, if you saw a number 2 signal, then you have to change the settings on your block, and you only want reversal blocks, okay? So you want reversal block entry, you want either 5 or 15 minutes, you can do that as well. And if you put in 13, again, it's going to include 1, 2, and 3 signals. It's going to include all of them. If you put in 34, it's only going to include number 2 cycles and number 3 cycles. And if you leave it at 60, well, at 60 then it's not going to include this type of entry, right? It's going to give you pretty much a small entry that will be something like this, right over here. It will give me a block right over here. So this would have been the entry right over here, okay? So it would have retraced a little bit and eventually would have come back down. This is only if you analyze that the market is going up or down. So once you determine what's the cycle, then you have to go, you set it up, maybe you want an extra filter. That is really up to you. You can use mid-level filter or you can use a moving average. It's really up to you what is your desire, or even the MACD. Then after that, what you're going to do is you're going to go to comment and you're going to say, listen, I only want a long entry or a short entry. You only want to buy or you only want to sell. You don't want to have it as both, just in case something random happens and it might not give it to you, right? So right here, only short entries, and then that's it. So you will click on that and then you would choose what type of entry, only long or only short. And then that's it. And then, that will be at the end of the day. And don't forget, you have to make sure you will set it to automatic. If it's automatic, it was going to automatically enter for you. Remember, you have to set your stop loss or your take profit, whatever it is that is your desire, you will have to set it yourself, right? And you just set it automatic. If it's on M, it is only going to give you the alert, but it's not going to automatically enter for you. That is really also depending on what you want. So you will click on that and just set it for yourself. So that would be pretty much anything, for euro dollar. Right now, this would be the only entry that I have set on automatic. Why? Because I have this bullish block. I got a number 1 signal, and I'm expecting, hopefully it doesn't keep on going lower. I'm expecting for it to finally give a break and then actually go somewhere around here to this bullish block right over here, right, to this resistance. So this would be the only thing that I have set right now as automatic. There is really nothing else on any other pair. On dollar CAD, this just keeps on going higher and higher. So that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I hope this was clear. So it's very simple. All you have to do is do your homework. Some people are afraid of the EAs because they just take entries random, buy and sell in here. But I think if you do your homework every day at the end of the day, or even when you wake up in the morning, you can actually set it to take that trade in the morning for you. So you don't have to analyze and do all the work. Let the EA do the work that you would do anyway, right? So if you have 5 pairs, then it just automatically enter for you, and then all you have to do is manage it. If it's going against you, then what are you going to do next? If it's going your way, where are you going to get out? That is really much after your daily homework analysis. Then the EA is going to enter for you, and then that's it. All you have to do is manage your entry. All right, traders, so I hope this was clear when it comes down to the version 2 of the dashboard. I think this is gonna be much better, and on the future videos I'm gonna go more in detail how we can actually see H4 or the daily, and how we can actually see much better cycles, more better entries. But for now, this is very basic that you can start seeing and taking a look at and having the EA work for you. Don't spend so much time in front of the computer. Just do your daily homework at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, and then that's it. Set the EA to do a buy or sell entry, and you don't have to do anything else. So all right, traders, sign up, subscribe, like, comment below, and I will see you around. Thank you.